Okay, there we go. Okay, so for class, the final is just you presenting your website in class, your final website. It should be either a website that you created with us in class and continued to build out based on your plan that you gave me. So you each have given me a plan in lesson 2. And if you didn't give me a plan in lesson 2 or you didn't read over the things I talked to you about in lesson 2, I definitely need you to do that. Go back and read over what I said, the things you need to have, the information that I'll be looking for, because I'll be looking at your plan and I'll be looking at the website you built, and that's how I will do part of my grading, okay, of your website. So I will be looking at your plan, and if you told me you're going to use this font and you're going to use these colors, and your theme doesn't allow you to do that, then you might need to find a theme that uses those fonts, or we'll need to talk about how you can add those things into your website. So that is something to be aware of. So I will be looking at what you told me you're going to use and what you're using. Okay, that is something to be very aware of, is what I do or how I grade. Um, you will be turning them in next Tuesday. And pretty much, I don't have a whole lot of time to turn around and let you guys have more time to work on them after that. So just be aware that I think I might have 1 day extra. I don't think I'm going to have much more than that to give you guys to work on them. So if you don't turn them in Tuesday, you definitely have to give them to me by Wednesday. I should have them graded pretty quickly, especially if you are doing your presentation in class. And your presentation will go over hosting. You'll pick a hosting, you'll just kind of talk about it and why you think it would be a good hosting environment for a WordPress website. Then you'll go in and talk about your plan and the website you're going to build based on um, your hobby or whatever you are building your website on, and then you will display your website. So it's pretty easy. You don't have to be on screen like I am. You do have to be able to share your screen. That's all you have to do, and be able to talk, okay? And that is really important. Is everybody okay with that? Do you guys all understand that?
Okay.
Okay, thumbs up. Okay, perfect. Okay, so tonight I want to talk about images. WordPress is not just HTML and CSS and JavaScript. Okay, building a website like that can be fairly, um, it can run really fast. It doesn't take a lot of broadband and it doesn't take a lot of thing to load the page. When you use WordPress, it can be a little heavier because you have this whole dashboard, okay, on the back end in your hosting environment. And then you have PHP, and then you have to access a database. So all of that can make WordPress a little slower. One of the big things about websites, and this can be websites that are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript websites, or WordPress websites, or any website you build, is that images and videos that have not been optimized can weigh down a website. And when I say weigh down a website, think about it. How long will you guys wait for a website to load in a browser? So, I mean, you can either tell me or you can put it in chat. How long will you guys wait for a website to load?
Um,
Come on, somebody put something in chat. Tell me how long will you guys wait?
uh,
Okay, I got 30 seconds or less. 5 seconds minimum. 30 seconds. Anybody else? Any ideas? Well, they found out, or at least they are finding out, that unless you really, 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 really need to get on the website, like you need to get on the irs.gov or some website that you have to get on for some reason, you won't wait more than 1 or 2 seconds for a web page to load. Okay, so that's really crazy. I love it that you guys all picked anywhere between 5 and 30 seconds. That is awesome, but I really think sometimes you need to sit down and just kind of go 1001, 1002, and see how fast web pages load. With our fiber internet and the broadband that we have right now, it just everything's loading so much faster. We have so much more speed. So you expect everything to load faster. The other thing is the device you're looking on may be one of those things that determines how long you will wait for it to load. If I'm somewhere where my phone may not have good Wi Fi, I may take or wait longer for it to load. But if I'm somewhere where I don't have good Wi Fi, like at a concert or something, um, I may wait longer for the web page to load because I know I'm vying for my space, kind of like in a queue. We all get in a queue when you're vying to load a web page. And once you're in that queue, it may take longer for the page to load. So wherever you want to go or whatever you want to do may take a little bit longer. Venues are really kind of like ramping their Wi-Fi up because they do want people to do the social media and all that fun stuff out there when they're at events. So they do try to make it so that those pages load faster so that they get that information. But that being said, you want your web pages to load as fast as they can. So if you put 2 or 3 images on a page, or if you put 5 or 6 images on a page, that is where you need to optimize the images. What does it mean when I say optimize an image? What does that mean to you guys?
Make it small enough to be able to load fast, I suppose.
Okay, that's a really good way to explain it. So you make it small enough, and when you say small enough,
The
um,
resolution.
the resolution, okay, so that is one way to make it smaller, is because a 300 pixel per inch is for printing, and that really isn't something you need when you're viewing it on the internet, right? And the other thing is the actual size. You think about it, the largest screen that most people look at on their browser, it's usually a windowed screen, so it's usually somewhere between 15 and 16 pixel, 15 and 1600 pixels, not 15 or 16 pixels. So it's usually something about like this because you window it and then you're doing something over here, right? So you don't usually have the whole screen taken up by your browser. So most people have it anywhere between 15 and 1600 pixels. So you really think about it, the largest an image would ever display is between 15 and 1600 pixels. But if you think about like Macs, the big Mac screens now, I think they're 2200 pixels big. The HD or the big ones that are for PCs, anywhere between 19 and 2100. So really, they aren't much bigger than that. The only thing you could think of is okay, maybe there's like 0.2% of the people that are going to look at this on a TV screen. And if you're looking at it on a big TV screen, like one of those huge TV screens, um, a bigger image might look better there. But that is a very small percentage of your audience. Your audience is either going to be looking at a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, or a phone. So I would say 99% of the people are going to be on those viewports. A very small percentage is going to be using something that is going to be on. a TV screen or bigger. And I like what you said, Miles, because that's right. Sizing the image, the resolution, and the file type can help with the size because different file types can allow you to have different size images. Um, do you guys know the difference between vector and raster? Okay, very good. Vector is pixel base. And this one is, I love this one because this is a really good example of what pixels are. Pixels are just little squares that make up your images, and all those squares are tiled on top of each other to make your images and make them look the way they're supposed to look. Vector are with vertices, and there's a vertice like one point and a second point, and then there is a segment between those two vertices. Because the vertices are done with math, they're more crisp and you can go very, 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 very small, 17 pixels by 17 pixels, all the way up to very large billboard size images and not lose any quality. With raster type images, this image itself might have looked good down at 50 by 50, 50 pixels by 50 pixels, but now that we have stretched it up, it gives you those jagged edges. It gives you the pixelation. Okay, so raster type images. The file types that can be raster images. Very good. Vectors are geometric or math shapes. The file types that can be raster images, what are the file types? Do you guys know at least three file types that are pretty big or used with web? What are the file types that are usually used with web? And there's one that's coming on the scene right now. Okay, you guys say GIF or GIF? Oh, good. Thank you. JPEG, PNG, or GIF. Okay, those are the raster type images. Um, a GIF can take 256 colors. Okay. JPEG and a PNG can take over 17 million colors based on your monitor that you're looking at. People may say, okay, why would I use a JPEG versus a PNG? Um, for me, if you size them both where they're supposed to be for the correct size, I feel they look the same to me when I look at them on a monitor. There are some people that are very big photography people that can really tell a big tonal difference between a JPEG and a PNG. Tonal difference is like skin tone. So if you're looking at somebody's face or something like that, that is what I'm talking about, skin tone. Um, Pings will allow you to have transparency. So if you have a tree and you cut the tree out and put it on as a ping, and then you have a different color background or you have another picture you're putting it on top of, the ping allows you to have a transparent background. A JPEG does not allow you to have a transparent background. So if I cut out the tree, what would be behind as the background would be a white background with kind of a box around it. And it just kind of does that with the JPEG. The JPEG allows us to lower the the number of pixels. So it lets us throw away pixels. So it gives us the availability to throw away pixels so that an image loads faster. So it does let us optimize the image and give us, usually you can do like an 80% of the original JPEG and save it that way. That means you're throwing away pixels, you're throwing away 20% of the pixels, and you're putting it on a web page and it will look fine. Okay, so that is something to be aware of. You have the availability with a JPEG to optimize it to a smaller file size by throwing away some of the pixels. What people have problems with is then they go in and they resize that image again and they throw away 80% or they throw away 20% of the pixels, and then they start getting this really ugly pixelated use and they don't understand what's going on. And that's because they're using a JPEG that was already sized once and you already threw away 20% of the pixels. And then if you size it again and throw away 20% of the pixels again, it starts um, losing quality. Okay, it doesn't look as nice. So you have to be very careful to go back to the original image and resize it to the other size that you want to use it. Okay, again, very important that you know how to size images. There are multiple programs out there. Canva is one. Um, Pixlr, Pixlr editor is another. Pixlr editor for free will let you edit almost like Photoshop, um, up to 3 images without purchasing anything. So it's a really kind of a nice one to use. I think I already have a sign on, so let me see if I do. I thought I had one for JCC, but maybe not. Okay. Here, I'll just open an image with the editor. So I'm just going to open one of my puppy pictures that's really big.
I'm not getting
Oh, I'm
a,
not sharing my screen. So that's not nice of me, is it? Okay, I thought I was sharing my screen. Do you not see my screen?
I don't,
Okay. I am so sorry. I swore I was sharing my screen. Do you guys see it now?
I see it now.
Okay. I am so sorry because I pulled up this to show you guys this image here about raster versus vector. Oh, also vector are SVGs and they are mathematical formulas, and you can use vector as logos and you can use them as icons and stuff. And they do look like a lot of code, but they really load so much faster because as it reads the code, and if you think about it, a web page reads from top to bottom, and as it reads the code, it is actually calculating and creating that image for you. Just like the images where it has to go out and it does an href and you go find the image wherever you have it stored, where we would have it stored in the database or the media of WordPress, the raster actually builds it right away because it's in the code. So it's kind of cool that it does that. Kind of fun. Okay, so I was saying Canva is a free to use um, where you can pull in the file and you can size the file to what you want it to be. Like I have this file sized down to 400 by 300, um, and then I can save it and I just do file and then do a download. So you just have to download it. And Canva, I think, will let you download as many as you want. The Pixlr editor, um, I think, like if I open an image here, and I'm going to look at the property real quick of this one. So this is 1.3 megabytes to load. So this is going to take 1.3 megabytes to load, 1,416,169 bytes. Um, A packet is what goes from a server to a browser and back and forth to build an image. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen an image build like it just kind of line by line. And that's because it's building it per packet. So 17 kilobytes per packet. So if you're going to megabytes or you're going to even higher, um, it's going to have to go to the server, to the database, back to the browser to load the image. So that's why I was talking about you don't want it to take a lot of time. You don't want it to be heavy. So right here, this is the original image. If I say, okay, and I take this original image and open it over here, it allows me to size the images. Okay, so I can actually say, okay, this is Ultra HD. I want it to be really big because this might be used on a TV screen or something. Full HD means I'm saying it's going to be probably used full screen on a monitor, or I can say web. And so most of the time I tell people when you're sizing for my class to go to this web option and then change the size to where you're going to use it and how big you're going to use it. And for this example, I'm just saying that I know I'm going to put an image somewhere and I am only going to use a small image, a 400 by 400. So that's as large as I want this image to ever be. I might even use it smaller than that, but I know if I do 400 by 400 and do tab, it does proportionally change the width and the height based on what it was before, the ratio it was before, and it applies it to the image that I selected, that puppy dog, which was 4,000 by something. So now this looks really good. It says it's 400 by 267. Honestly, if you look at my screen, that looks really nice. Okay, so I know that's going to work for me. So now I can actually do File and Save. And for me, when I resave, I could save it as a JPEG. And with a JPEG, I can throw away pixels. So I can optimize it even further so that it will load faster. Or I can say, okay, I've already thrown away, I've sized it down enough that I can stay at 100% at this 400 by 267, because if I ever want to stretch it a little bit, if I stay at 100% on the monitor, it's going to look better. Okay. I can also click to save it as a ping. If I want to use this WebP, that is also an option that you could use with WordPress. Most people use these two, JPEG or ping. I usually stay with the ping. Like I said, that's what I want to use for the web. I'm going to save it as, and when I'm saving it, I usually save it to a folder that says this is my final folder. So in my desktop, I think I had puppies 2020, and I thought I would probably put in another folder here, so that I won't ever overwrite my original. So I have I organize like the raw, working, and final. And so if the client had said, okay, this is good, that looks good for me, we're happy with it, I would put it in the final. I do always put in what size I size the width to, so I know at least how big it's going to be when I'm working with it. So if I select final, make sure I put in that 400 so can do that, and that saves it. And so now it says I have 3 dailies that I can use and do this with the Pixlr. So Pixlr editor, here I will try to get a little bit bigger here. I guess that won't go any bigger on the browser, but pixlr.com/editor will allow you to edit up to 3 a day. So this is a good way to optimize your images and not have to own Photoshop. If you own Photoshop, size your images there. It's just the best photo editor, or Lightroom, whichever you like to use. If you use those, does anybody have those or not have those and work with those? The one thing this does have is a lot of commercials over here. So that is what you have to deal with there. I think there's another one, um, GIMP, image editor. This one you have to download. This one is a downloadable one that you can download, and it's pretty similar to Pixlr in that you edit it, and I don't want to download it because I already have enough photo editors on my computer. But if you want to look at it, it is a good free editor to edit pictures and size them and optimize them also. Please optimize your images. Don't put up a 3000 by 2000 pixel image if you're going to use it in a space of 400 by 400. Okay, so now I can go back here. I can go into one of my posts. Let's go edit it. I can put something in before or after. So I'm going to put it in after. And I'm going to come over here to blocks and just look for images. I'm going to upload. And I'm going to go to that final, grab that puppy dog, and see that puppy dog looks pretty good right there. So now I do have the availability to um, work with it over here, decide based on the heads up display in here, like how I want to see it. And if I want to align it to the left or align it to the right, move it up, move it down, just decide where I want it to be. I also have the availability to replace it. If you bring an image over into WordPress and you didn't size it, okay, you do have the availability to go in. I think once you're in the media browser, I'm going to go ahead and save this. Go back to my media browser. When you bring it over, you can actually edit it in WordPress. WordPress is not an image editor. WordPress is not an image editor. Okay. And if you look here, I did bring in over a smaller one, but let's say that I wanted to edit this image in WordPress. I can edit the image in WordPress. So I can come in here and I can rotate the image. I can scale the
Whoa.
image. All of this allows me to select it. Um, I can crop the image. So maybe I want just the puppy, sweet looking face. And then you come down here and apply the crop down here. And then you save your edits. And so then it changes it from a 400 267 to a 241 pixel by 267. Um, so it gives me a more square image. So it does allow you to size the images here. I do notice that sometimes when I size the images over here already in WordPress, it doesn't um, throw away the pixels as if it does when I'm doing it somewhere else. So if I go back into my folder that I was looking at before, so I'm going to close this and go into my Puppies 2024. The original image here, if I look at the properties for this, okay, so that's the properties for that original image. And then for this one, if I look at the properties, we can compare them. And you can see that I went from 1,416,000 bytes to 268 bytes. So this is definitely going to load faster. And if I'm talking about 17 kilobytes and bringing over packets of 17 kilobytes, I divide that by this, and that goes in like nanoseconds, going from the database to the server to the browser window. But it still can be one of those things that if there was a lot of backup and it took a lot of time for an image to load, this would be why the image wasn't loading, is because of the size. And I always tell people an image is worth 1,000 words if somebody can see it. If somebody cannot see the image, it's not worth anything because they may pass it up, and you put an image that is taking up a lot of bandwidth, forcing it to take a lot of time to load your page, and nobody's seeing it. So if people aren't seeing it, it's worth nothing and it's hurting you. Okay. And you don't want an image to be hurting your web page. You want an image to push up your web page and to be great content on your web page because, like I said, worth 1,000 words. But if nobody sees it, it's worth nothing, and it's actually probably dinging you on your Google Analytics, okay, because it's saying your page is taking too long to load. Okay, the other thing about images that I wanted to talk about is where do you get images? Where do you guys get your images to put on websites? Hmm? Do you just Google here and say puppies, puppy images, and just say, you just grab any image you find on the internet? Yes or no? Thumbs up if you do, thumbs down if you don't. Okay, I love it that you take your own. That's perfect. Great, you shouldn't. Sometimes. Pixels. Okay, so yeah, okay. Okay, so those are really good answers. There was some guy out there telling everybody you could type in the name. If the image came up on the internet, it was free to use. Okay. Um, you need royalty-free stock or the availability to use it. Okay. There is Unsplash, which is a place where you can go and find images. um, it allows you to download the image. So here's a little download icon that allows you to download the images. Some of them are locked because it's Unsplash Plus. They want you to pay something for it. A lot of them are free. So you can find a lot of free. The terms of service that I've read recently said you can use without attribution and you can modify them. You can use them any way you want. Okay, so Unsplash is one of those things that allows you to use images. I tend to like to give attribution to people that took images just because I think it's nice to help somebody out and kind of just push them up a little bit. When you download an image from Unsplash, so here I download this, it goes into my downloads, okay, and puts the image in my download. It also gives you the availability of what attribution you could give them. And this says this photo is by this person, and if you copy this to a clipboard, this gives you exactly where they want you to find them. Okay, so this gives you the information that they want you to put in there, which is really nice because you don't even have to think about it. It gives you what they want. There is also images that are called Creative Commons images. Okay. And Creative Commons images are one of those things that can be used, but you have to be very diligent to read um, their usage rights. Okay, so if I come in here to tools, so I looked up puppy images, it brought up all these puppy images, and I know I can't use all of these. Okay, so I go to tools here and I use the advanced search. And with the advanced search, I can filter by license. So there's different licenses that people put on their images when they put them out on the internet. So if I click free to use, share, or modify, even commercially, and then do the advanced search, it brings up images that I might be able to use. So this one is in the public domain, looks pretty good. This one is liver shots, which also looks good. I'm trying to see Flickr. Okay, so this one is from Flickr. So this is free to use or even modify. But when I click on this one, this
Um,
person has put this up here and they want,
um, ¿Qué
yes,
dices? ¿Vas a ir a dónde?
what? Kelly?
Ah, ya yo dije mis amigos.
Kelly? Hello?
Oh, ok. Bueno, no estaba segura de qué hablabas. Ok. Bueno,
Okay, I muted her. I thought she was asking me a question. Okay, so this one is free to use. Um, But it also, if you scroll down, they do have some usage rights. So this is something you have to be very aware of if you've looked at something that said free to use and whatever you thought, okay, it's in Creative Commons, it's free to use, but it does have some usage rights. You do have to go through this Creative Commons, read through what they're saying, and what this person wants is they want attribution. Okay? You must give appropriate credit. Okay? And if you make changes, you have to indicate where you made the changes. Okay? That is what they want to note. So they did say you could do things with it, but you need to say what you did to it. And you can have it underneath the image and in 8.8 EM font. It doesn't have to be big font or big attribution, but it does have to be on the page where you use the image. Okay, so you do want to have it there available for people to see. The other one, like this one, the public domain one, I think this one was free to use, so you could actually just download it for free. But he also has like larger sizes, like if you needed them for print, you can pay this guy $1 to premium downloads between 5 cents and 10 cents. So this guy isn't really charging a lot for his images, but he's asking for tips too. So if you like his stuff, definitely give him a tip, give him some attribution. But he's putting him out there and saying, hey, if you like the image, you can buy it for a larger one, or if you can live with this size. And most of the stuff that we use on the internet, we could use with this size. I do recommend anytime you use an image, if it's not one you take, make sure you are giving correct attribution. Um, and these people, that's how they make their living. I will go in and tell you that um, Getty Images has lots royalty-free images out here. But if you use one of their images, like you come in here and you like use one of your cutting tools and use one of their images without purchasing it, they will come after you. They have people, they have things, they have bots going out there searching web pages, and if they find you have used one of their images, I had somebody from Hallmark say somehow they had accidentally used an image and just came right at Hallmark for, I think they said anywhere between ten and $15,000 just right off the bat. They didn't say cease and desist. They didn't say anything. They just came after them for money. That's where you lawyer up and you um, get that um, to come down a little bit. And sometimes they come down, sometimes they won't. It just depends how long you've used the image and whether you're making money on your website. So it is very dangerous to use images off the internet that you don't own. Um, Also worked with a client, had an image. They had given it to me. I was working with them. It was a cleaning service for uh, offices, and it just had a girl vacuuming in front of two like office windows, like in a conference room. So she was vacuuming in a conference room. Didn't look like anything. I mean, somebody could have taken it. It just looked very, it was very professionally done because you could see the skyline behind it. It was really a pretty good image. Well, this person got a cease and desist order for 3 or 4 months. Never talked to me about taking the image down. I never took the image down. They never took the image down. They finally got a lawsuit for, I think it was anywhere between $50 or $75 a day that they'd had the image up from the first time they got the letter. So it's it like added up pretty fast that they were getting charged a lot of money because they didn't take the image down. Okay, so it is something to be aware of if you get an image up on a website and the people don't own the image, or that is the first thing I tell people when I work with their content. I said, you are responsible for the content. If I put the image up on a web page, and this is something maybe you guys can think about too, if you're putting it up for a client or you're putting it up for anybody, they have to be responsible for the content. You're not responsible for the content. Um, so they have to take full responsibility for any content that's put up on the website. And that's where they should have the content before you start building the pages. Kind of go back to day one that I talked in class. Any questions about images? Anybody have anything? I do think having a royalty free or a stock image that you can use, don't get in bad habits just because you're a student. Students do get away with the availability to use things, but getting in bad habits, sometimes it's hard to break those bad habits. So just don't get in those bad habits. It's just better.
So,
And
sorry, I have a question.
okay.
So for like if you were actually working with clients, right?
hmm
I don't know if you're doing websites for a business, a hair salon, I don't know, remodeling for whatever business. So what is the best thing to do to ask like you create images for them, ask your client to provide you images from their business, or
So
what's the best
if
route there?
Okay, so if you're doing from a hair salon and there's actual people in there, okay, so I worked with a restaurant and they were just like taking pictures in their restaurant because it was just like of people. And I said, you got to be careful with that because if somebody's image gets up on a web page and you're a business and you're making money, and they feel like you're exploiting their image and you haven't got a model release from them, you could be sued. Okay. That is where I told any client that ever had people in their images. I worked for a construction person one time that was just taking pictures of the guys up on the things laying down cement. And I said, you want to get model releases. That is where another thing I was talking with these Hallmark people, they said Hallmark used to go around and take pictures of the employees working on different things for Hallmark. And every single picture that was taken at Hallmark, you had to sign a model release and they had to pay you at least $1, even if they didn't use the image, but they always paid you at least $1 for the image. And then if the image was used in a campaign, they might come back and give you some more money. But they that is one thing to be aware of. If you have people in your images, not necessarily places, but people, you have to be very um, cognitive to get model releases. And that is something that the company should go through their lawyer and write up a model release that protects them. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Definitely be careful of taking anything off the internet. My rule of thumb, if you don't own it, don't use it for commercial use, um, or get stock photos. And I have had clients that have gone out and purchased stock, like 2 or 3 months worth of stock images, and we use them for the website. But you also have to read the terms of service. If you're using an image and you downloaded it to use it for the website, and then they decide to go use it in print, you may have to pay a different premium to use it in print because print is different than a web page. And so you may pay a small price to use it on a web page, and then for print, they may charge you for so many hundred thousands of reproductions of the image. So definitely read the terms of service wherever you're using it. And even if you think you have good royalty free, make sure if you're using it both print and web that you have your bases covered. Okay.
When you say stock images, what do you mean by that?
Um, one, two, three, royalty free is one. Is stock image is Getty is so here you purchase either the images. Some of them have 7-day trials once you put in your credit card. You um, yeah, there's all these different stock ones that are available that
Okay.
you can do. They have vectors
Mm-hmm.
like icons. They've got videos. They've got audio. Lots of images that you can use. But the pricing, if you come here, you look at the pricing. 7-day trial is 0, but they usually want your credit card. Monthly subscription for $10 a month,
Mm-hmm.
starting off probably for a couple months. Um, this you can just look and see what it does, like the standard license, multiple use license, multiple users, if you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have more than one person use it. Getty also, even Unsplash has some royalty free. But you do want to make sure that whatever images you get, you're paying for. You're not
Okay.
just taking. And so prices here. Getty usually is more expensive. You can see where this is their bread and butter, and that's why they come after people using their images. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so they do have meta embedded in their images, and I think they do have something that's going some bots that go down and scan, or at least
Okay.
that's what I think. Oh, sorry, you guys don't have to see. I got a certificate. Uh,
Thanks.
okay. Okay, so that's my spiel on images and just kind of where I talk about images. And I do want you guys to be aware images do put a lot of weight on a web page. And so if you can take the weight off a web page, your web page is going to load faster and you'll get it to load between 1 and 2 seconds. And most people will wait that long for your web page to load. Okay. And you also get better rankings um, with your analytics in Google and any of your browsers. That is it. Anybody have any other questions about images before I move on? Okay. The next thing I'm going to talk about is plugins. So WordPress, we've worked with Core WordPress. So Core WordPress gave us this dashboard, and it's pretty bland. I mean, we have our posts, we have our media, we have our pages, we have comments, appearances, plugins to add more code. We have users to add more users to work on our website. We have the tools, and the tools will expand as you add more plugins. And then settings, and settings might also change. But most of the time, plugins will have their own settings. Okay, so plugins allow you to add more code to give you more functionality. WordPress by itself gives you the availability to build web pages and web posts without coding, right? WordPress gives you the availability to build pages and posts without coding. Plugins, okay, so that's the base. Okay, that's kind of your core of WordPress, and it gives you the dashboard back here to build all of that stuff. Okay, so that's core WordPress. The theme gives you the look and feel. So if I look at the front of the website, like how it is looking and how the pages are laid out, how my header is laid out, it, themes normally give me the way the page can be laid out. What fonts are used, what colors can be used, all of that comes from the theme. Okay, so core WordPress gives me the ability to build the pages and the posts without coding. The themes give me the layout, the colors, the styles that I can use. Okay. Plugins give me the functionality that a website needs. Okay. So plugins give me functionality. So plugins are core in making things better. When we come to the dashboard and we click on plugins, 2 plugins should have come with your web page build. You should have got a Kismet, an anti-spam protection, which allows you to not get a whole bunch of spam comments. This is something that you, if you're going to allow comments on your website with your blog post, will probably want to activate. Okay, this will be something you probably want to activate. It requires an API key to be set up and some setup to be done through automatic. I'm not going to do it, but if you do decide to keep this website or you decide to keep one of the websites that you're creating, this is a really good plugin to activate. Um, if you're doing it for a business, they do ask a minimum donation of like $5, and then like really enterprise businesses, they ask to pay more. Does help with spam of comments. This Hello Dolly one right here is one that teaches people how to build plugins. It shows how you can build plugins that sit above WordPress core and can hook into WordPress and be put in and taken out without damaging the code for WordPress core. There was a time where people would hook into WordPress core and somebody would delete the plugin, it would delete part of WordPress core. So that plugin was a really, really bad plugin. Because it was causing people to add the plugin, activate the plugin, and then the plugin would go into WordPress core, use some of the code from WordPress core, and when you deleted the plugin, instead of leaving the WordPress core where it was, it would take out the WordPress core parts, and that would cause the website to have what was called the white screen of death. Um, so um, Matt here, Moig, decided to create Hello Dolly to teach people how to create plugins that would sit on top of core, be able to use core stuff, but not strip out um, core functions. So that's really important. I always tell people go ahead and activate it. All it does is show up on the back end here and just starts bringing up the song Hello Dolly. And as you go to different pages, it just gives you another line of Hello Dolly. Um, and then just to see what it does, then go ahead and deactivate it and then delete it. Hello Dolly should never be on a live website. Hello Dolly is just there for WordPress developers that want to create plugins to look at the code and be able to emulate it so that they can put a plugin in that can sit on top of WordPress and not strip out WordPress functions that need to be in core. Okay. Plugins I want to talk about are plugins that I think are going to be fairly important for you to use. I always tell people WordPress has a good base of SEO, but a good thing to do is to add more functionality and to give you all of those things that give you those SEO little bumps that help push you up in the rankings. So I always say, this would be your library or depository of plugins. If you search right here, these are the installed plugins. And right now I only have a single installed plugin. To add a new plugin, I would go up to the top left here where it says add new, and it will take me out to all the plugins that are out here in the WordPress repository. These have been vetted at one time or another by a volunteer, but that doesn't mean you are not responsible to vet your own plugins that you put on your WordPress website. You are responsible to vet your plugins that you put on your WordPress website. We're going to put in a keyword SEO for search engine optimization. And there are two plugins that I really like, but there are lots of plugins out here that have a keyword of SEO in there. 4,289 plugins. If you feel like you want to code this plugin yourself, you can also do that. That is something that is available for you to do. But I don't reinvent the wheel if it's already out there. If it's something that works and I'm pretty happy with it, I stay with that. Um, but plugins are something, it's more code that you can add to a website to give it functionality if you can't find it. Yoast SEO and all-in-one SEO are two really, really, really good um, plugins that have been out there. I haven't looked at this one. This one looks like it's coming up in the search a lot more, but these are the two that I kind of go over with class. If you install a plugin, it doesn't do anything until you activate, okay? When you install a plugin, it doesn't do anything until you activate it. So now if I go to my plugins, I should have 3 plugins installed, the all-in-one SEO and the Yoast SEO. Search engine optimization is a whole class in itself, and I think you guys probably have the availability to take SEO or something associated with SEO that teaches people how browsers look at web pages or index web pages and start allowing people to find those pages. That's what search engine's all about. Your H1, your metadata, your keyword, um, your images with alt text, um, links to other pages in your website, and links outside your website are all things that a browser looks at when it looks at your page and determines if it should rank you higher or if it should rank you lower based on how you have done the different things on the web page. So these allow you to do these things for every page and post. The one thing that I do have to say is I activate Yoast, and I have been with clients that have activated these plugins and they were very disappointed. Okay, so they activated the plugin, they leave, they don't do anything else, they just activate it, and they thought it was going to help with their search engine visibility. Okay, and it's not. Okay, it's not going to help with you being found in a browser unless you do the work. For every page and every post, you have to do the work for it to be found. Okay, you can also do this initial configuration, which is really good. So you just start the configuration. It goes through, gives you some information. There is some AI stuff out here to optimize your SEO. That would be where you had to buy the plugin. We're not buying the plugin, so we're just not going to do that. And we're just going to continue. Okay. And then we are saying that this is again, it's going through our settings and it's just checking our settings and checking it in association with our website. Did we pick the right thing to represent this? Is this an organization or is it a person? And I'm saying mine's an organization. If you are working for an organization, say it's an organization. If you're doing a blog for a person, make sure you say that the website name, the website organization. If you've got a logo, it wants all of those set and it saves all of those because it will push those out. If you have social profiles, this is a good time to put those in. This is a good way for the search engine to check and see if you're being seen on those different mediums also. Save and continue. Personal references. If you want them to send you SEO tips, this is something where they'll just give you free tips, I think weekly. Um, and it's just depending, and you can always come back and turn this off. So I don't want to share my site, don't want to get tips, and then just finish. So that just finishes up the setting. Just to make sure that you have some settings set up. Okay, what has happened here at the top? We have received some new things for Yoast sitting at the top. On the side, we have actually set up a ton of menu items underneath Yoast. So underneath Yoast, you will see that we have a lot of things going on here. Okay. Now, if I go to a page, we'll just go to our home page real quick and we'll do edit. If I go to a home page, you will notice that we didn't have this little Yoast things here at the bottom. And now we do. We have all this down here to allow us to set up our focus keyword or keyword phrase. So most of the time you don't just search for a single word, you search for a phrase, and this allows you to search for, set up the search for the phrase. This lets you see what people will see when they come to your website. Right now, if you need to type in, you should type in a meta description to help with people finding this page. And so this is my home page. Um, and so you can see that description shows up here. And that's the mobile preview. There's the desktop preview. So you can actually see both of those and what it looks like. And then I could come up here and just my keyword could just be puppies. Okay. So I've started up with puppies. I have puppies here. Um, I might also want to make sure puppies is in my title, which it already is, home puppies 2024. So I do have that as part of my thing. I could also put in home dash puppies dash 2024 for my slug. Okay, so that just helps people find it. It also analyzes what I've done. It gives me this little sad face or a happy face, depending on how my text and everything is working. Honestly, I probably need to put in more content here to get a better rating. But I could come here and just kind of look at the SEO analysis and say, okay, what are some of my problems? Um, Distribution, honestly, it's probably two places on my page. So very bad distribution, outbound links, images. I don't have it say puppies on there, internal links. The phrase on the first paragraph, I don't have that. All of this is telling me my problems. So if I go through and pick this, it's going to help me. Text length, the content text, 0 words so far. It should be 300 or more to get a better ranking. Um, and then this is telling me the things I could improve. And then these are the things that I've done a good job on. Okay, so I just need to go back and add more content in here. And as I save it, that will go from red to yellow to green. As I make those changes and make the updates, it should allow me to get something close to green. If I don't get green, don't feel bad. You're not always going to get green. There are times where a page is going to be searched for by that keyword, but you're not going to have that keyword all over the page. Okay. You may have other words that are used in the page that mean that word, and that should help. But yeah, do your best, but don't have to rewrite all the content. But you should have um, your H1 should have it in it, which home it doesn't have it, but that's okay. Um, Fostering puppies from 6 to 8 weeks before adoption. This is just something that's kind of talking about what this website's all about. I think I could put in more content down here talking about puppies, um, two or more puppies, why they give you two or more at that age, and then I could go in like the vaccinations are already done, the food's already given to you, blah, 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 all of that fun stuff. Like crate training the puppies, housebreaking the puppies, all that I could go into. So why don't you guys go ahead and load in that first plugin. So if you haven't already, on the back here, go to plugins and do add new, add in, um, put in SEO, find those two plugins. And one thing I'll talk about vetting a plugin is like here, this has 5 stars. It has 10 million plus active installs. This was updated a week ago. It's compatible with the current version of WordPress. I'm going to go all the way to the back real quick and just explain. Okay, I went too far. Okay, I'm going to just scroll down. Okay, 6 days, 2 months. Um, I never worry about it being a couple months old, but there are some out here that will be multiple years old. There's 3 months. That's not bad. Six months might make me a little nervous, but still, just depends. It's untested. Okay, so this does make me a little nervous. This has only one review of 5 stars. It has 4,000 active installs. It is untested with the current version of WordPress, and it's been 6 months since they've updated. This would make me nervous, okay? And you could always go out and see if this person who created it is still around. So that they are still around, you could send them drop them a line and say, hey, I'm looking at your SEO plugin. It hasn't been updated or hasn't been tested on the current version. Are you going to do that anytime soon? That would be the only time I would probably, if they talked to me and said, oh, yeah, we're going to update it tomorrow, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's probably what's going on there. Trying to see if there's any others. Like some of these are like you'll find some that are like 3 or 4 years and they haven't been updated to the current version. Anything that's untested with the current version is something that's kind of iffy. Okay. I would feel very uncomfortable with anything that wasn't tested with your current version. So definitely vet your SEO plugins before you use them on a live site. Okay, so
Would
go
you
ahead.
advise using only one at a time?
Yes, I'm showing you two just to show you the difference between the two. But once you find the one you like, don't have conflicting plugins for the same thing. So I'm showing you two that I think are really good plugins, and I'm going to show you the difference between the two. But I really recommend you only, once you find one, stick with only one because you don't want them to conflict. And especially with security plugins. Security plugins will think another security plugin is a virus or malware. Okay, because a security plugin goes in and starts searching all of your pages and posts and looking at everything on your website. So it looks like it could be malware, just like by its essence of going through your code. Malware sometimes tries to go through your code and find vulnerabilities. So that's something to be very aware of. But yeah, I'm showing you two just because I think it's a good way to work with it. Now there are some plugins that complement each other that will be working to do the same thing. Um, SMP, SMTP plugins work really well with plugins that are good for contact forms or forms that you create on your website. So they work with the server and serve the information from the server or from a browser to the server back to your website. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys work on this. Go ahead and download Yoast, put it on one of your pages. Try to fill out some of the stuff on Yoast. Try to get it to go to green. You don't have to. I'm going to go back to my home page and try to edit it. And we'll work on this till about 7:30. And then we'll switch it over to the other plugin.
Once we have it installed and we're trying to modify the homepage, what do we need to do?
You go to the bottom down here and
Mhm.
fill out all of this information based on what your home page is about.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so website waves. There we go. There we go. So what we did is we just deactivated the Yoast. We activated the all-in-one. Um, I'm going through and reading the things that it needs for me to do. So I'm down here and I had to bring over the Yoast. I had to put in the focus keywords. I had to retype the meta description. I'm looking through that analysis. So the page analysis is down here, and this is the all-in-one Yoast. And just those little changes I made got me up to 91%. So I went from a C to an A by just making a few changes. And now if I added more content in here, it probably even bring my score up a little higher. So this is a good way to also tell. You can see the readability is still pretty low. The headline analyzer, I should probably go from a H2 to an H3 somewhere. So this is a paragraph, and I probably, oh, that says it's a heading. That's an H2. And these are paragraphs, and I would probably make those H3s. And maybe that'll help with some of my readability. like rolling over it so I can't do it. Ah, there it goes. Okay. Okay, so I've gone through, like again, readability, we're going to be pretty bad just because we don't have very much content in here. So I do need to up the content. I'm going to go ahead and save. Again, I told you Yoast SEO and all-in-one SEO, once you activate them, become part of the page. So as you make changes to either the page content or you make changes to the SEO stuff at the bottom here, you need to come in here and save it. So you have to save it. And so Yoast and um, all-in-one SEO both make changes. And if you come back to the dashboard, you will see that the Yoast, just like the Yoast, the all-in-one puts uh, something at the top here and all of its menu items down here. It also puts something in the menu on the side and puts all these menu items over here. There is a nice little video you can watch if you're interested in finding out how you're doing. Um, it does show you that I have 3 posts without keywords. I'm sure if I went through my pages, it'd probably tell me my pages need some keywords. So the analysis right here is telling me what I need to fix. So kind of nice. Okay, I'm going to stop right here.
But if you deactivate one of them, it doesn't get rid of your information.
If you deactivate Yoast, okay, it doesn't, it has a database of Yoast stuff out there. So if I decide I'm going to go with all-in-one and I'm not going to go with Yoast, I need to eventually delete Yoast. Okay. Okay. That would be my recommendation, is to delete the plugin you're not going to use. Test them both out, find the one you like better, and use the one you like better and get rid of the ones you don't want to use. Extra code sitting out on your website is just a back door waiting to happen to let somebody get into your website. Okay, it's just code. Okay, and code has vulnerabilities just like anything out on the internet. There is the chance that somebody um, is looking at trying to get through something that somebody miscoded on one of the plugins. And that's where I'll be talking about a security plugin that you put on your website that helps with that.
Okay.
Okay. When we come back from break, I'll be talking about those. Okay. Let's go to break and come back at about 8 o'clock. Does that sound good?
All
If you're a
righty.
little bit after, that's fine. That's perfect. Okay. Whenever you guys are back, let me know. Thumbs
I'm
up.
back.
Welcome back. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna like just have a few more minutes. See if anybody gets back. Any questions about your final next week? You guys feel like you understand what I'm looking for?
Can we edit our assignment planning?
Yes, I will open it back up until, yeah, until the final day. So yeah, if you want to edit your assignment, I will go edit it after class today and let you guys edit it. So if you changed it because you found a theme you wanted to use and the font's not there or the color's not there or something's not there that you want, definitely you have the availability to change it. Actually, while I'm waiting, I can try to open that back up. The assignment planning. Okay, there it is. Sometimes when I like close these, like assignment two, I close it and I was like, "Oh, I probably should have left it open until the final date, which was the 8th. So I will leave it open till the 8th if you guys decide you want to change anything so that as I'm looking at your assignment planning, I can see if it follows what you did. Any questions on SEO now? Okay. So this is the first plugin that we go through. So I've decided, like I was talking to you guys, that once you decide which one you want to stay with, you go through and you get rid of the other plugin. So once you decide whether you want Yoast or whether you want all-in-one, you go ahead and delete the one you don't want. You never keep extra code out when you don't need it. So we're going to add another plugin because a lot of you guys wanted to create a contact page, and some of the blocks are good, conducive to creating a contact page, but it's better. I think the functionality with some of the contact page builders are just easier and they work with the blocks. So if you put in forms or contact page, I think forms is what I usually look for. Oh, there it was. This WP Forms has a free version that is really nice to build just a basic contact form. I do like it. Also, if you want to go to the premium version of it, I have been with Gravity Forms since probably the beginning of me building WordPress websites. So that doesn't mean that's what you guys have to go with. That's one you have to pay for, and I just have enjoyed using it, and it has always been very easy. Um, this one is like if you vet it, has been around for a long time. This one has been around the longest and has been used a lot. I do recommend that if you get this contact form 7, you also get, I think it's called Flamingo, which allows you to see who has written on your contact form. So it kind of lets you keep track of who has been on your website and who's been writing on your forms. Um, I think this one does on the paid version. Gravity Forms is a paid version. So if you upload a plugin, like I would go to Gravity Forms, I'd buy it, I'd get the zip file, and then I'd upload it here. And that would allow me to use Gravity Forms. Unlike, I don't know, is it going to let me? Let me go here. It didn't let me install the other thing, so I'm not sure it's going to let me install this, but this is, yeah. Um, So yeah, this is something that there was probably a max that was created for us to do uploads. So it's not going to let me do any uploads. This would be something where we would have to go through on the C panel and update the init. And yeah, we're not going to do that for this. But that being said, we have this WP Forms. We're going to go ahead and install that. If you want to look at this one, you can. This one takes a little bit more to work with. I would actually say I would watch a couple videos on that one. This one is just more easy to use. It's easy to plug and play and drop and drag and drop. So we'll just go ahead and install this one and play with this one and go ahead and activate it. This is the way you can create forms. It does have a little video here that goes through the instructions. I think it's a very short video, so I'm going to stop playing this. So you guys have to watch the video, so just go ahead and watch the video. I'm not going to worry about it. Um,
Welcome to WP Forms, the best WordPress contact form plugin on the market. In this video,
okay, so I added the simple contact form. And just going to go ahead and add that. So that's something you guys can do too. This is taking a while, and it could be
Yeah,
that
mine is frozen too. I'm not sure why. Like I can't go back and forth or anything.
well, if it's sitting here and it was spinning, if it's spinning, you're just going to have to wait. And right now mine was spinning and making the changes. Okay, so it was adding things, add fields to your form. So I'm going to close that out. Here you will see all of these are dithered out, but you still have a text form or a single line form that you can actually pull in. So if I wanted to, like here, this is email, I could also bring in the phone number if I want it, and I could just name it phone number. Okay. So if I click on it, it allows me to edit it, and this could be my phone number. So you don't have to purchase the one that came with it. And if I want to make it required, if I want to give it a description, all of that information is there. So I could actually require the name, require the email, require the phone number. And then if you want to require them to give you a message, you can. I may not require the phone number because the name and the email is probably all I really want, but the phone number could be optional. And that might be an easier way if you're trying to get hold of the client. So you can save that. Um, you can preview it, see what it looks like. So just this is a preview, kind of gives you a look, a feel, how it looks. You could look and see how it's going to look when you get to the phone level. And then you can close it after you've looked at it. Since it will allow you to put it in as a block, so once you go to your contact form, you will be able to find this WP Forms as one of the blocks that's available to put in. And basically, you guys watch the video, but the settings allow you to go in and go to the general settings. So if this is the contact form, I could remove the simple contact form name, and I could just call it contact form and then give it the description. If I had tags, if I wanted to change the submit to something else, I could do that. If I have any advanced CSS that I want to put in a class because I want to change some of the information, I have the availability to put in a class here and work with it. I do recommend if you are going to have this out on the internet, to have some kind of bot, bot filter. Because if you don't get a bot filter out there, the bots are just going to like overrun your form and try to just dump a whole bunch of code or links or whatever in it. So you either use a Captiva, use something that will force it to prove that um, they're human. Okay, so Recaptiva, um, this one, any of the ones that you feel, the pro ones you won't be able to use unless you buy it, but definitely have one of the Captivas in there. There used to be, and I don't see it in here, there used to be a honey pot. Um, and I don't know if the bots have just gotten smarter about the honeypots. The honeypots were where the bots would go fill out all the information on the forms, and the honeypots were not seen by humans, but they were seen by the bots. So if it got filled out by the bot, it would not, um, it would just dump it into spam. So um, that is something to like look for to see. And maybe that's closed because of it not being free. I do use that with Gravity Forms. I use the honey pot and don't get a lot of bots that are bothering me. Themes. This is where you can actually go in and determine how to style your form if you want to change it in any way. Notifications, this is who will be notified. So this admin email, it will go to your email. It will use the subject line from the contact form. It'll say who it's from. Um, they do strongly recommend you get this WP Mail SMTP. And this is something that if you are going to want to get emails from this website, I do recommend you get a plugin, this SMTP, and set it up. So that just basically says who your web host is and where and from it's going. So it kind of walks you through how to set it up, and there's doc on how to set all that stuff up. But it is very important because with WordPress, going through PHP, it's one of those things I just find it's just easier to get the SMTP set up and not have to worry that your emails aren't going through. Okay, so right now, when I look at all the forms here, it shows 3 forms. It shows, so I have contact form, and this is the short code. So I could actually go in and create a text block and go into the editing side or just even the text side and put that in, and that is called a short code. So if it has brackets around it, you can actually pull a short code into a text block and then it will find it. But we also have the availability to put it in our page. So I'm going to go to our contact page. And I think mine probably will be underneath my services page just because I didn't create a contact page. I did not. So I'll put it under my services page. And I'll do add after, go to my blocks, look at all my blocks, and I will come through here. And I think it's in widgets. Yeah, WP Forms is in widgets. You select the widget, it pulls up the form. You select your contact form. It will fill it out. It is taking a few seconds, but it does fill it out eventually. And you see what it looks like here. And if you wanted to style it, I would actually go back to that document and you could style it any way you want it. With this one, I think I'm going to delete that and just have that as my contact form. and save. And then you could put a block in before and explain your contact form. This is the way to contact us. Um, blah, 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 whatever else you wanted to say. And then afterwards, you could put in patterns or whatever you want it underneath. So this contact form can be used one or multiple places. You can also create a form that is just for to subscribe. So you could create another simple contact form, which is just an email and a submit button. You could put that in your footer so that everybody coming to the website would access that form. So this is just really good ways to use this and get information um, from people that are coming to your website. Make it easy, make it pretty accessible for them. Don't make every field required because they'll probably have trouble filling them all out. But this is a really good way to get the information collected. You can also go back to WP Forms, and once you get entries, you can look at the entries here. Well, if you buy the 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 premium version, you can see the entries. Um, Other than that, you won't be able to see the entries. Uh, I always forget which ones will allow you to do it. The Contact 7 and Flamingo work together to allow you to create the forms, get the entries, but then you also have to put in um, SMTP. Okay, that is forms. Do you guys have questions on forms? Because SEO and forms are two of the ones that I normally recommend people to get because most people building websites, those are pretty important for you building websites. The things that I feel are very required for websites, those are kind of optional. You don't have to put them on. They just kind of help your website run better, and you just get some more functionality out of it. The two things that plugins that I do think are required is that you need to back up your website. You can't just create a website and assume it's always going to be there. If something happened, like I said, being the admin of a website, you are pretty much um, all the god of the website. With one fell swoop, you can make it beautiful. With one fell swoop, you can destroy it. So getting your website backed up is a really good thing to do. So there are lots of backup plugins out there. I don't say one is better than the other. I think some are easier than other. Updraft is pretty easy. Jetpack, if you want to invest in Jetpack, they have the backup, the security, and the caching plugins all together. They are created by Automatic. Automatic does do the WordPress.com. So a lot of times when you're on WordPress.com, they are using Jetpack to back up your website. So it is a good plugin to get, and it gives you a lot of functionality with a single plugin. It used to be where you loaded Jetpack and it loaded everything Jetpack could do, so it could really bog down a website. It has gotten a lot better. It's not as bad as that. So just be aware. It's a pretty good plugin. The paid versions back up daily, and you can restore on the fly. So honestly, the backup here is pretty good. Definitely have seen it used on a 20 gig website that they had made changes. We went back 3 days, backed up before they start making the changes, and they were back to where they were. They only lost the changes they made over the last 3 days. So definitely worth thinking about if you have a lot of changes going on a website and you have somebody that's willing to pay for um, a nice plugin. There are some free versions, but the backups aren't free and the security is not free. So some parts of Jetpack are free, but those two aren't. Um, the free ones that I like Duplicator and I like All-in-One Migration. Partly because I've been using them for so long. Doesn't mean that these two are the best plugins out there. It's just, again, you get used to using them. If somebody's using something else, I've used Updraft with other people, works just fine. But I have these two on my client sites and I definitely like them. This one is probably the easiest one. Um, to work with because you can use it to create a backup and download a backup and store a backup off the website and off the server, and it just really fast and works really nice that way. This one takes a little more knowledge of your server and how to manipulate your server. It's gotten a lot better than it was, but it used to, you just have to understand your server a little bit better and where your files are. This one, you don't have to know where your files are. It does all the work for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and activate the all-in-one just because it is kind of the easiest one to work with a smaller website. If your website gets very much bigger than where we are right now, you won't be able to move it from one place to another, but we'll see if I can do this. So I will go ahead and activate that. Again, if you have backup plugins, you don't want to have two backup plugins fighting each other trying to back up your files. Could slow down your web page loads because they're both trying to back up files and they're yeah, they're hitting the database at the same time somebody's trying to look at your website. So just be very aware. Again, another thing, like every time we add a plugin, we get another menu item, right? So here, all-in-one migration, all-in-one SEO. We're getting more things on this menu over here. We don't just have core WordPress anymore. So the all-in-one migration is a really good way to back up your website. The only one that works on this, you see all of these ones that go out to storage or cloud storage. The only one you'll be able to use on the free version is to create a file. So if you select all-in-one migration, you select file, it will start thinking, it'll start grinding away, it will create a file. Once the file is created, it will tell you that you can download the file. You download the file, put it in your downloads or put it somewhere. I have client folders. So this tells me it's 82 megabytes. So I can just click on that. It downloads it. As soon as it's done downloading it, I can close this. I can close this. I can actually go and look at my backups. It will have a backup here and show me that it did a backup here. So I can first see that the backup is here. This is the file. It creates a WPress file type that is per, a, a priority file type for this plugin. So this is the only plugin that will use it. So it's not like you can take this back up to somewhere else and use it. It's not a zip file that you can use. It backs up both the file structure, the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, the PHP files, and the database in one file. Okay, so it creates one file that captures everything. There are like Duplicator creates the files, okay, in their file folders, and it creates the database also. So you have them in separate kind of folders so that you can manipulate them if you need to. Again, that was very helpful for me when I had the client that had the 20 gig um, website. Their 20 gigs, probably 15 gig of it was images and videos that I had to upload separately. So that was something that I just had to keep track of because they were such a big website. That being said, we have this download. I'm going to just kind of bring that. I wanted to open that. I didn't want to bring it again, but I'm just going to bring that to my desktop. Go back. I've got that backup. Once I know I have the file on my desktop and it's saved somewhere, so here it is, it's saved somewhere, my website's saved. I usually get rid of it here. I could restore it if something happened, but I usually get rid of it because I don't want extra code out there. I just don't need extra code on my server if I don't need it. So it's just better not to keep a whole bunch of extra code out here. With my clients, I have this all-in-one migration going to Dropbox. So as it creates the files, they go into Dropbox, and I keep 20 files out there for my clients. So it's just a good way to keep information out there. So this removed the backup. If I have a local hosted place, I can actually create an environment um, outside of my, I can create a new website. All of these websites, I have too many right now. I need it to clean this up. I didn't do that. But let's just say we go into this one, fostering. We'll see if it lets me sign on. Okay, so this is local hosted. That's okay. Continue the site. I don't care. Okay, that's fine. Continue complete. Let's see if that works. I will leave this. Remind me later. So this is a local hosted environment. This already has a website. I'm going to show you what this website looks like on the front right now. So this is what this website looked like previously. Okay, so this is just a previous version. With this one, you can see that I have 9 or 8 updates that need to be done. The W Forms is having some problems. It's giving me some messages. So with this one, if I go to the dashboard, if I don't have all-in-one migrations there, I need to add that plugin, which I think I do have all-in-one migrations on this one because this was my previous continuing ed class that I taught. And this does run a little slower because when you have everything, I have a lot of things taxing my system right now. I have a video recording, copying all of this. I've got, okay, so I have all-in-one migrations right here. Okay, so I do have all-in-one migrations. I am going to just real quickly do a backup of this one. And you can actually see the images, and it's completing archiving all the images, all the files and all the plugins. And then it goes to the database and completely does the database. So this one wasn't much different. So I'll download that one. I'll close it. Then the only thing you do is import. So you saw what it looked like. It was green on the front. All I have to do is grab, drag, and drop that in there. Okay, so now it's saying, okay, you're going to overwrite everything that you had on the previous version. And I'm going to say proceed. And it's going to rewrite all the files, rename. So mine was So this is fostering.local. So I'm moving it over to fostering.local. It has to rewrite all the database files that were at 172.csit.web.net. Okay, so it's rewriting all those files. It's imported everything. So now it wants me go to my settings, redo the permalinks. I don't know if that's gonna, okay, so that's not gonna work because my sign on to this one, I'm going to have to come over here and find my sign on. Okay, there it is. So it even took out, all right, so then this takes me and shows you that it even changed this. So I'm not going to change that because I'm going to change it back. So here, if I go to the front, this will look now like what I had on the 172. So this is fostering local, and I did the backup from 172 CSIT. So here, this is a locally hosted environment that I copied and pasted it into. And this is where I say you don't even need an FTP. You're able to copy and paste it from one to the other just by using um, all-in-one backup. So if your backup gets over 100 megabytes, you do have to buy, I think it's a $99 extension, or I think it's a $99 extension to make a backup, and I do have the extension for Dropbox. So it allows me to do backups that are larger than, I think, 100 megabytes. But this is like if you have a small website, this is a good way to, without having FTP, you can move it from one place to another. Local hosting on WP Local is something else I wanted to talk about, but I want to finish up with. But local WP is a really good. So this is a really good way to grab this. And I'm going to paste this in here. And the last thing I wanted you guys to see is us getting the security plugin. Security plugins are so important for websites, especially when they're up on the internet. So definitely you want to get a security plugin. So plugins for security would be like security. And like I said, if you want to use the Jetpack, WordFence is the one that I tend to go to. Jetpack, again, both of those are really good security plugins. Scary is a really good one. All of these I've used, so I haven't used every single one in here, but those three I've used and I've been very happy with them. Don't add a security plugin until your website is built, because as you are making changes, it's going to think that you have malware on it. And then once you go live or before you go live, make sure you install a security plugin. WordPress takes some time to go through the setup of it. So just because you install it, you still have to do setup. Again, plugins are extra code. For them to work, you do still have to do the settings. You have to figure out how to make them work. A lot of people sometimes think plugins are plug and play and they do all the work for you. That's not true. plugins a lot of times will do something for you, but you still have to do the work. Okay, just like we had to do with the SEO plugins, right? Okay, the last thing I wanted to do is tell you that there is a video out on the assignment, or is it the assignment? So this is the fourth assignment. I think it's the page. So let me go to pages. I think it's pages. I want to see all pages. For the fourth week, on the fourth week, I taught, okay, local hosting was local WP. That's what I was talking to you guys about. Um, hosting, what is recommended for hosting, but then there is a video that I recommend that you guys watch. This is from HostGator that talks about the different types of hosting that you can get. There are hosts out there that I recommend and don't recommend. I will be very interested. Part of your assignment for your final is to find a host that you think is a good host, and we'll talk about it in class as you talk to us about it. And then if you bring up one that I feel you isn't a great host, I'll let you know that too. Okay. I'm not going to keep you guys any longer because I know you guys can read and you guys can watch these on your own time. Final next week. If you got questions, I will stay after class and answer any of your questions. And if you're done, you can go.
Should it still be fine? Install a security plugin, but just leave it deactivated till you're ready to publish.
Yes, it should be fine. Security plugins, they're not going to do anything for you. I think WordFence, if you get to where you're not going to be on the website like we are right now all the time, I recommend having the security plugin in right away. Like if you're stopping to work on the website, and you're going to put it up and make it live, make sure the security plugin is live and active and go through the steps to make sure that it is emailing you if somebody's trying to sign on or if like
Okay.
there's lots of different things. And WordFence, I do buy the premium version. Doesn't mean that you have to. WordFence free. I have WordFence free on 3 of my client sites because they don't want the premium version. But I recommend if are you collecting any data? If you're worried about anything, do that. You guys can learn from my mistakes. When I first built a website, I built it without a security plugin and without backups. And somebody who hacked my website was a malicious hacker. They weren't a hacker that was trying to take over my website, but all they did is switch out all my images. It was awful. And I wasn't able to clean it up. I wasn't able to go to the code and clean it up at all. It was really pretty invasive how they'd gotten in the code. So most of the time you can go into your cPanel and you can run tools and stuff and find it. I was having trouble. Like I went into my file manager and I could see where they put the code in. Every time I would put it in, as soon as I took it out, there was some JavaScript putting 2 or 3 things back in. So, yeah, they were pretty impressive, but it was just, yeah, it had hacked my website and it was just easier to just get rid of it. But I'd found out the server I was on I wasn't the only person being hacked on that server. So I think they'd hacked the server too. I do recommend if you aren't building websites with some type of security on your computer, I always tell people you won't cook in a dirty sink, right? Um, don't build a website on a computer that might have viruses. I did see that one time too. We cleaned up a website, we'd go back, we'd build it again. She'd open it up on her website and it'd get hacked again. So she was opening it up on she had a virus on her computer. Um, So just be careful. Make sure you don't have malware or viruses on the computer you're working on. Okay, I'll try to stop talking.
Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.